So I just wanted to say that today's episode is sponsored by Asea redox signaling molecules. Now, it comes in two forms, the liquid and the gel, plus there's a huge other product range for us. But why did I start taking Asea, and why is it now an integral part of something that my whole family, both four-legged and two-legged, take every single day? Plus also something that all the clients I work with, again, four-legged and two-legged, it's number one on my priority list. Well, part of what I do, what I'm passionate about, is understanding the challenges that are affecting each and every one of us in today's modern living. The more you know, the more sometimes you wish you didn't know, but the pollution in the air, in the water, in the food, the control of our minds, the propaganda. But one of the things that we can do is take back responsibility for our own health. Now, every single cell of our body, whether we're an animal, whether we're one of the dogs in the backgrounds or one of my plants, contain these redox signaling molecules, and cellular health and cellular communication is absolutely key, whether you want to get your body back in balance, whether you want to reverse the aging process, whether you want to address any particular challenges that you've got physically, emotionally. It all starts with healthy cells. If your liver cells are healthy, your liver's healthy. If your brain cells are healthy, your brain's healthy. But just like a mobile phone, most of us have got mobile phones that we use on a routine basis now, but that mobile phone, regardless of whether you've got the latest model, is completely useless without a signal. So what does this technology do? The gel is something that you can apply topically over particular areas of concern, whether you want your skin to look better, whether you've got a cellulite, whether you've got an area that's causing you a challenge. The liquid is something you drink each and every day to top up what should be in your cells anyway. But when our bodies are stressed, diseased, challenged, or as we age, we make less of them. So personally, I wouldn't be without it. My sleep's better, my energy levels are better, my mood's better, my mobility's better. If you want to find out more, the details are below. But I'm so grateful that this came into my life, and I'm so grateful I can share it with others. I hope you love it as much as I do. Let me know. So it seems like forever, Brice, that we've had our coffee chats, or my structured water chat as it is. It's been so long. We've both been traveling, doing different things, had other things that we've had to sort out family-wise and things. So we are going to talk about something that I think, based on all the messages I'm getting, is going to be really, really important for people. And that's our top three, both of us, top three mindset tips, mindset hacks, because at the moment, there's a lot for people, isn't there, Brice?
Oh my God, so much so. As you guys can see, I'm not in Atlanta right now. I'm in Florida. And I was just telling you, Catherine, before we started filming, just the difference between being in Atlanta and being in Florida, the stress of Atlanta, as we were saying before we started recording, it takes a lot of courage in this time to stand in your integrity. And that courage, it can be traumatic and can put your nervous system into high alert when you're the only one in the grocery store without one of these on, which they're trying to push again in Atlanta. It takes a lot to be able to stand in your courage, and that can cause trauma, which can cause stress to the nervous system. And so, yeah, I think we're in for another round of having to really hold our ground. And so I think this is a great topic to talk about, to help people, or help us help each other move through this next timeline we're entering into.
So true. I mean, I've had a family member that's been in hospital this week, and it's been a real wake-up call for me, actually, Brice, because, I'm quite isolated from a lot of things where I live. I'm in the middle of the countryside and surrounded by my animals. Most of the people I interact with are people that are aligned, because it's online. And I tend to keep away from the ones that I've not. And then over the last week, I've been forced into what a lot of people call the real world. I don't. I call it the fake world. But it's been a real eye-opener for me to see the madness that's coming back in again. Interestingly, last weekend, a group of us got together and we had a Matrix watching party. And we went right back to number one and watched number one, The Matrix. And watching it now with this new perspective is even more amazing, even for you. So I'd recommend that to everyone. But the mindset, you and I, we've spent the last 3 years really sort of sharing our journeys, because it's something you and I have to work on all the time, our own mindset, our own physical health, how it links in together, because the outside pressures, whether it's from the air, the water, the food, the information, the EMFs, so I'll try not to use too many more trigger words, what they're putting up in the skies, the propaganda, the brainwashing, it's really full on for people. And we're seeing it with all our listeners, quite understandably. Obviously, spread all over the world, people's pressures are different, but it's just been relentless for people. So one of the things we want to do is say, you know, some of our mindset tips that really, really work for us, they're tried and tested and proven. So what's your number one?
Well, and it's interesting because these are all new ones for me, except for one. There's one that's not a new one for me when you asked me this. And this is something that I've been doing the last couple of weeks, this first tip. And I saw it on Instagram. I saw somebody say this and I was like, that's really interesting. I'm going to start doing this. And I told our friend Kelly Teal this on the phone the other day. I said, this girl said, you know, we're always so concerned about the worst case scenario. We're always going to the worst case scenario. But what if every day you woke up and said, okay, I'm ready for the best case scenario? So I've literally been doing this these last couple of weeks. And anytime I catch myself starting to go in that stress, anxiety space, I say, nope, I'm only accepting the best case scenario. Now, this girl on Instagram, as we understand, words are vibration, right? And you guys can look up all the different studies they've done with water to see how water responds to different words, right? It's interesting in plant life that these words matter. And so when you're putting that out there saying, I only want the best case scenario, that's what the universe hears. And that's what it responds with you. And it's worked. It really has. You know, traveling can be we've been traveling and we have a dog and it can be stressful sometimes. And we always stop halfway at a hotel. And it really has helped because I'm prone to anxiety, not go there, to be like best case scenario, best case scenario, best case scenario. And so that's a new one for me that I've been doing. Do you want me to do number 2, number 3, or do we want
I'll
to
do
do
my
your number
first and then we'll go on.
Yes.
I really, really love that. And I think it's so, so true. And what I've been noticing with this particular family member being unwell, if I've been noticing that no one talks about best case scenarios in the medical profession, even friends and family, it's very often, you know, all the things that could go wrong. And I'm from a background in risk management, and people often think that people who do risk management are actually a bit pessimistic, but it's completely the opposite. Because if you do that properly, you park it all. You've got, look, I've got this. You know, the things that I can control, you control, and the things that you can't control, there's no point stressing about it. So I think that's an absolutely brilliant one. So my number one is an absolute favorite, and in fact I was just literally talking to a really lovely client about this before we go. It's my gratitude journal. You can see how grubby and well used it is, but I'm not going to pretend that I don't slip into bad habits. And often when things are going really well or really busy, I might sometimes forget and get out of the habit. But actually, it's so ingrained in me now. The first moment I'm conscious in the morning, I lie there on my pillow and I just run through all the things I'm grateful for. And it just makes sure you're setting your day off on the right thing. Then I sit up in bed, normally move one of the cats that's asleep on me, and I write in my journal most of the time. I can't say I do it every morning, but we've talked about this one before, the 5-minute journal, and there's loads of variations on it. And apologies how grubby mine are, but you can see it's been
Mine's sitting on the bedside table too.
but it's got so many great things. You know, you've got the date. It's always got a lovely thought of the day or a challenge for the week. And then it's got 3 lines for I'm grateful for. And then this really fits in well with what you just said. What would make today great? So it's like it's reframing about, oh my goodness, I hope this doesn't happen, or I hope things. It's reframing it exactly as you were talking about. Okay, what's the best scenario that can happen today? And let's just put it out there. And then daily affirmation. And then in the evening, you do amazing things that happened today. And then what would have made today even better? So you're just putting that into your consciousness about how you can be on this continual journey of improvement before you go to sleep. And there's so much studies to do. I know our listeners are very well aware of it, but those thoughts you have when you first wake up and when you're just falling off to sleep are absolutely crucial to setting your reality. So putting in habits that are going to frame those for what you do want is really important.
I love that. I was like, yeah, mine's sitting on my bedside table right now. And it's something easy that helps you when you're used to being in a state of stress or used to being in a state of anxiety. Sometimes it's not so simple just to change your thought process. So having that tool to help you pivot is incredible. The 5 minute journal, gratitude journal is incredible, guys. I know it's in my Amazon link. I think, Catherine, you have an Amazon link as well. It's, it's really great to help pivot that mindset of, instead of what's the worst thing that can happen, what's the best thing. And that's so, I think too, Catherine, when you said like waking up and being grateful, I think sometimes like you and I and most of our listeners come from like first world countries.
Yeah.
You and I have both done a lot of traveling in third world countries and in developing countries. And nothing shocks you more is like how lucky you are. I feel so blessed to be in a country that where I have an education, I can read and I can write, I have a roof over my head, I have food. I mean, we're so lucky that we get to pick what we want to eat, right?
Exactly. That we get to even have the luxury of thinking about what water we're drinking, and we're so blessed. Yeah.
So blessed. And so I think we forget that though, and that's the normal around us. But it's like a while ago, someone put the percentage of like, if you can read and write, you are one of the top, the percentages of like really how fortunate you are to be in that situation, just to be able to read and write, just to be able to have that education and that food. So that's to have that mindset. Like I'm so thankful that I have a car to drive. I have a roof over my head. I have tons of food in my house where I can actually be picky about what I want to eat. Yeah, pick which water I want to drink. That's a lot of people in the world don't have that option. And so that changes that perspective. Instead of like, man, I don't have the newest iPhone. Well, I have a freaking iPhone. Like that's pretty incredible, right? So
exactly.
Changing that perspective. So my number 2, and this is one that I've been holding on to for a long time now. And I heard this on the radio a long time ago, back when I would have to drive to work. And I heard the radio DJ say this: do something today that your future self is going to thank you for.
Yeah.
And I actually had to say that. I had to say that to myself this morning, because being here in Florida, we've been sleeping in a little bit. So my morning exercise has been a little bit later than it normally is. But today I was filming with you. I also have an appointment after this. I had some stuff I had to do today. And so I'd set my alarm for 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, my alarm went off this morning at 5, and I was like, oh, you're on vacation, just sleep in. I was like, no. I sat there. I was like, what is your future self going to thank you for? One of my appointments today is getting my hair cut. So I'm going to be sitting for a long time. And if I get up and practice this morning, I'm going to feel better and I'm going to be a better me. And so I had to coax myself through that. And I got up and I did my practice and I feel great now. And so like when you're in that moment of feeling that like, ugh, like what is something you can do that your future self is going to thank you for?
I love it. And this is really funny. I want everyone to know. So when I suggested this topic to Brice, we didn't discuss at all what we were going to pick. We never do. If we're picking a topic, we never discuss what each of us think about it until we come on the live. So this is really uncanny, because my number 2 is very similar. How can I serve? So asking yourself first thing in the morning, what can I do today for someone or something else? So I watched a series. I don't watch much television, but like you, I quite often work really late at night. And what I find is if I'm working on something really late at night, and most of the stuff I'm researching is stuff I'm really passionate about, I can find it quite difficult to switch off before bed. So sometimes I like to watch something that's just completely neutral, or sort of, I would say, just that I don't have to work for at all. And there was a series that I watched, which was about the blue zones, which is the areas of the world where the people live the longest and consistently live the longest. And there's all these areas in the sort of world, and there's one in Japan, and there's one in Italy, and there's actually one in a surprising place in America. But one of the consistent things that came out time and time again was waking up each day knowing you've got a purpose. And that purpose needs to be something that's contributing outside yourself. And we see this so much in elderly people that are lonely and left on their own, that they're not often allowed to, or allowed is probably the wrong word, but given the opportunities to contribute, and they spent their whole life contributing and looking after other people and everything, and then suddenly they're sort of almost put on the rubbish heap. And one of the things in all these different blue zones is the people had a purpose, whether it was growing their own vegetables, whether it was helping a charity, whether it was helping out someone who'd just been widowed. You know, there's people that were 102 and they're like, well, they need my help, you know, and every single one of them had a reason for being. And for me, one of the things that's so overwhelming for a lot of people at the moment is, how can I help when there's all these global things that are going on? You know, let's take the examples of what's happening in Israel and Palestine. Whoever's pulling those puppet strings, and I'm sure everyone watching this knows that there's a lot more complex than what we're being told, but we don't really know. And also, the thing is, regardless of who's pulling those puppet strings, there's so many innocent victims. And this is what we see time and time again. Often the innocent victims are animals, humans, wildlife, trees, you name it, and it can be overwhelming. So for me, I'm quite a natural worrier, and I want to help everyone and everything, which can be very overwhelming. When I wake up in the morning, and one of the things I write in my journal or I think about is, okay, today, how can I serve? How can I be of purpose? And it immediately fills your heart space up. It's really amazing. And that can be from helping your mum to your neighbor to helping an animal, or slowing down when you're driving around the road so you don't run a squirrel over, whatever it is, or something major, but making sure that you've got a purpose which is helping something or someone outside of yourself.
Yeah, I love that. As you're saying that, I'm just thinking about, like, for those of you guys who are dog human, I love the Hawaiian word, the kahu. If you're a kahu for a dog,
Yeah.
a dog child, you know, like where we live in Atlanta, my dog can't go outside. Oh yeah, the person your dog thinks you are. Where I live in Atlanta, if we go out, Ravi needs to go outside, we have to take him because we're in a city, so he's got to be on a leash. You know, here we can just open the door and let him run, but when we go on these, we actually took him the other day to a big park here, and we walked him around a lake, and he was so he trots and he kisses us and he smiles at everyone. And to see that love of that, he's so grateful to be out with his humans, his pack, you know, and seeing other packs and getting to socialize, and that it's in that moment you are in a place of service, because even though we're also getting exercise, we both had already done our exercise that day, so we could have just gone and laid out by the beach, but instead making that service for our dog to be able to go and experience his life and experience, you know, my boyfriend calls ducks water kitties.
Yes.
He sees the ducks and tries to get to the water kitties, you know, and like that's fun for him to see that. So I love that. I love that, being even something simple like I know, thinking about those of you who do have elderly neighbors, just checking on them every day and making sure that they need a light bulb changed. You know, something simple like that as you get older will do your heart really, really good. I love that. I love that. And yeah, it's very similar to
it's really similar. It's uncanny. So let's hear your number 3 then. I'm intrigued.
Number 3 is a really new one for me. Like this past week, so when we sent this to me, I was like, I'm going to use this one because I watch a lot of trauma-informed videos because I've experienced a lot of trauma. I want to understand the way the nervous system works so that I have a better knowledge of what's happening within my physiological body so that I can start to course correct. So that's why I watch a lot of this. And there have been a few tidbits of these like little quick videos where I was taught as a child to not say anything because we want to keep the peace. Well, people have been saying, well, whose peace are you actually keeping? And that hit me hard, like not being able, you know, to make yourself small to keep the peace. And I'm not saying that if this is something that affects you as well, that you should go out and just be and terrorize people and just be an asshole and yell at people and scream at people. But if somebody makes you uncomfortable, instead of continuing to socialize with that person and just not say anything to keep the peace, what about your own peace? What about removing yourself from that situation? If your nervous system is telling you something's not right, then honoring that. Yeah. And instead of just keeping yourself small to keep everybody else happy, just remove yourself so that you're happy, so that you have peace. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, it really, really does. And again, you know, so important. I mean, when I sort of said top 3, it was really hard for me to stick to 3 because obviously there's so many. So my number 3, and I thought long and hard about this, but it's actually water. It's actually water. And I couldn't quite decide whether it was going to be get out in nature or water. So I'm just slipping a sneaky one in there. But the reason water is like you covered earlier, we are, depending when you're talking about by volume or by weight, we're between sort of 70 and 99% water. So is virtually every little living thing. So the plants behind me, my cat in the corner here, and water is absolutely crucial to life. It holds energy. A lot of the things in Silicon Valley now, instead of having chips, they're storing energy and information in a drop of water. And everything is related to water. And if we're feeling anxious, if we're feeling a lack of energy, if we're feeling unwell, if we're feeling overwhelmed, if your body is not hydrated, it's impossible for it to not be in a state of stress, whether you're aware of it or not. And in the good old days, as I like to say, I always make my daughter makes me laugh because she says, "Oh, you're showing your age, Mum." But, you know, we grew up and we just had water to drink. We didn't drink other stuff. We didn't have squashes and Cokes and things like that. It was just never in the house. So you never drank it. And you were used to drinking a lot of water. But nowadays, there's so many things that are added to it, and some are good and some blatantly are not good. So my mindset tip is hydrate your body, hydrate your mind, and just see how much everything shifts, because it's a bit like inflating a balloon. You know, the balloon can't fly if it's got no air in it. Your cells can't function, your mind can't function, your nervous system can't function if it's not got that hydration. And again, most people watching this will be in a lucky position where they do have access to clean water. And if you can't afford water filters or structured water, just bless your water. Just say a prayer over it, whatever works for you, an affirmation, you know, best scenario anyway, whatever it is. But be really grateful and flood your body with as much water. Of course, you can overdo it, but, you know, I think people are pretty sensible. You know, make sure you give your life force to your body in that way, and then everything starts to look better and function better.
You know, it's so fascinating, again, with these Insta stories. There was this woman I was watching, maybe it was on YouTube, I can't remember which platform, but she was talking about how she talks to her water. She talks to her every day, she thanks it, she communicates with it. And she ran this experiment where she put water in a glass and she asked the water, "What's my name?" And she put the water in the freezer and froze it, and I'll be damned, when she pulled it out, her initials were on the top of it. Isn't that wild? And it was the exact way she writes her initials. And I believe it. I'm like, this, because it's a living organism that's there to support your life. And it wants to come into you and help you. And, you know, it helps not just that, with the detox of sweating too, to keep you sweat. Oh, yep.
I'm so proud of this. I'll tell you about it anyway, but this has had the best water on it. I'm going to eat it. It's just delicious.
Yes, no, oh God, my light keeps going out. Maybe I should talk to my light. Here we go. No, it's all there to support you. It's all there to listen to you and to you know, I was watching my favorite reality TV. I was watching The Real Housewives of New York, and they're in New York City. And one of the girls was like, they were in Central Park, and she was like, "Do you ever just hug trees?" And the other lady was like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "No, it feels really good to just hug a tree and just to feel that life force, you know, that's there to support you and help you move through your life so that your future self, do something today, your future self will thank you, so that you feel that." Again, like I said, with drinking enough water, just to make sure you're sweating when you are going on your walks or you're exercising, that your body is able to function, to use that water, not just to flush it through the organs, through your pee, but also through your fascia, through getting things out that need to come out. That's that water wants to do. It wants to pressure wash. I always think of that when I drink water, pressure washing you from the inside out. Makes your skin look better. It makes you thinner. Believe it or not, if you drink more water, it flushes out bloating. So absolutely.
And what I was showing to everyone there that's listening is I've been growing all these trays of organic. So I sprouted wheatgrass seeds. So I sprouted it, and obviously I'm flushing it in my lovely filtered structured water, and then I'm growing it. And I'd love this to be for me, but this is for the rabbits and the guinea pigs because they absolutely love it. But this is amazing. This is a week and I've got 4 great, and it just tastes. But, you know, they are so grateful. I couldn't do that without the water and without watering them properly. So if anyone actually saw my office at the moment, I've got trays of everything. I'm growing everywhere. It's just lovely. So we really hope that, obviously there's lots more. We'd love you to let us know. Let us know in the comments below what your mindset hacks are. What are your top ones that work for you? What ones have you perhaps sort of got out of the habit of doing that you're going to start reintroducing again?
That sounds, yeah, I'd love to hear other people's as well. What helps you get you through to stay on the right track, you know, to stay, or if you've fallen off track. Let me ask this, if you're someone that's fallen off track, so we all have done that from time to time, what's your 3 tips to get back on track, to get yourself back on that path of wellness? So, and this is so fun. I feel like I haven't filmed in forever. So
I feel like we haven't forever. It's just been a lot going on for both of us and for everyone else that's watching. So if you are taking the time to watch this, thank you. We really, really, really do appreciate you. Before this, we were talking about some very exciting stuff that we'll be talking about more over the next sort of month or two. And share, please do share. My main message is that I'm seeing it everywhere. People need this uplifting stuff in their life. So if you can say anything, social media, there's too much trolling on there. Let's just shift these tools for the positive. Imagine if every single person watching just said, I'm only going to say positive things now on there. You know what it's like. If someone walks up to you and gives you a compliment or says something nice or show their shares, it can change your whole day. So let's change each other's days. I'm not just talking about for our channels for that. I'm talking about for everyone in the comments. You know, let's just support each other and shift it, because there's a lot of things going on that can be overwhelming for people. So we've all got to look after each other at this time.
100%. I love it. Yeah, we're all in this together. So we're all just walking each other home, as Ram Dass says. So I can't wait to read other people's responses down in the comments section.
So we will be back on Brice's channel, Esoteric Atlanta. All her links will be below. We alternate 1 week on my channel, 1 week on Brice's. We've got a little bit out of sync, but we'll be back. Thank you so much for watching.
We're back on track now.
Yeah. Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Mine hasn't recorded.
Oh, I have that you're recording.
Mine says it's recording, but when I look on here, when I look on my thing,
I recorded it, so I'll transfer it to you once it downloads.
I definitely press the record, and it says
it's recording right now.
But now it's okay. Well, perhaps when I end it, but there's something really happening. Okay.
Well, let me know if it ends.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And if you feel inspired, please do share with your friends and family. My goal is to inspire as many people as I can to live their best lives, to stay curious, and to raise their consciousness and that of the collective. So to do this, I need to reach as many people as possible, and this needs your help. If you feel drawn, would you be willing to share your favourite episode with 5 different people? This helps us spread the word and also helps me encourage some exciting new guests to take part in this podcast. If you feel drawn to do that, I will be very, very grateful. All the links and discount codes where applicable for all the products that I support are on my 2 websites, catherineedwards.life and catherineedwardsacademy.com. All of the products are personally tried and tested by me, my family, and my clients. And finally, please do press the follow or subscribe button, depending which platform you're listening on. And above all, stay curious and stay free.